Super Retro Force.
What's going on YouTube? Today I was asked by channel member Nick T. Wolf discusses about, well, let's see, there's a few questions here, so we're gonna look into this and see what we can come up with for answers. So I have a reference guide. Nick T. Wolf talks about movies, video games, basically the whole pop culture kind of thing. And yeah, I really enjoyed his recent video that he tagged me in to answer these questions. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. This was from his YouTube description for the video, and these themselves are the questions here. Now make sure you guys go check out Nick T. Wolf for a very relaxed, calm channel, talking, like I said, about video games and movies themselves. So the questions here, we're gonna try and dive into it a little bit more. Now I kind of dove into this without thinking too much about my answers, so don't get me wrong with this. So what is something you would love to have deleted from your mind? So the first thing that came up that when I started watching this video was I've talked recently with some coworkers at work because he was watching the Justice League, the DC movies, and I just talked about the whole horrible scene from Batman vs. Superman, where the whole Martha scene and with Batman, and then that just whole part of the movie is just so cringe that it's one of those things that every time I see Batman, and so especially Christian Bale, not Christian Bale, sorry, wow, Bat Affleck. Every time I see him now, that's all I can think of is that horrible scene where they're shouting Martha, and then he's like, "Why'd you say that?" And it was one of the most cringiest moments of the movie, and honestly, it was almost ruined the whole movie for me. Up until that point, I thought it was okay, but I would love to have that deleted from my mind if I had to come down to it. Favorite character? This one, I would have to probably go with Solid Snake. If I wanted to talk about, my favorite character of all time, it'd probably be him. I really enjoy like the original Metal Gear Solid and the whole just the badassness of him. Basically going in, solo stealth ops to do this battle these crazy characters, and it's just a guy with military training that's a clone of a better guy, or you know what I mean? It's just insane character himself, and I just love the charismaticness of him, and obviously the famous headband and always smoking a cigarette. So I've always been a big fan of Solid Snake. He's definitely one of my favorite characters. Now, an emotional moment. If I had to go with video games, I remember one of the first few times I've actually legitimately sat down and cried during a video game, and it was when I was a young kid and I was playing Final Fantasy VII, and I had no idea that Sephiroth was going to kill off Aerith, or Ares, or whatever way you want to say it. And so, spoiler alert, I guess, but by now everybody should obviously know. But I remember as a kid playing through that part, getting down there and waiting for the big reveal, and maybe actually facing Sephiroth finally, because I didn't know the game at all. I didn't have anything to go with, and then just the whole him coming down and killing her and then not being able to bring her back. I just remember as a kid being very emotional afterwards, especially when they're playing her music while you're fighting the boss. It's just insane. So, do you prefer to see a series turned into anything like a book, movie, or game from the OG source? So this one I kind of was thinking about, and there was two options that came to my mind. I would love to see a legit Metal Gear Solid movie. And I know that I'm kind of copping out because I just talked about favorite characters, but I would love to see a legit Metal Gear Solid movie. And live action with some great actors. I thought I heard at one point they were maybe working on a TV series, but I don't know for sure. And I'd also love to see maybe more of a Last of Us book series. I kind of looked it up, and I think there was a comics and stuff like that, but I wouldn't mind seeing more of a book series for that. But if I had to really choose, I would love, even if it was animated, I guess, a Metal Gear Solid movie itself. Whether it be just a regular Solid Snake one or anything else with that related. Do I think remakes are getting out of hand? Well, this is a yes or no question, or answer, I should say. Now, I am currently playing through Silent Hill Remake 2. I never played the original back in the day, so this has all been brand new for me, and I've been enjoying it. Now, same with Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes. I absolutely love those, but what bothers me is when they start remaking the games too soon. So I think Silent Hill 2, Resident Evil 2, and stuff like that were great remakes because they were obviously like 4 or 5 generations ago, you know. So it made it a lot better, and especially since back then it was tank controls, the graphics weren't the best, and being able to see all this stuff in like a fresh new look was absolutely amazing. But when they started remaking and remastering games that were only a generation or so before that, I kind of started drawing the line at that. I think that's ridiculous. I think like with the PS5 when they remastered The Last of Us 1, it was kind of like, okay, dudes, that was like not too long ago, and the original is still really good to this day. Like, I could still sit down and play the PS3 version of it and love it, and I didn't need that. And I think the worst part about it too was they charged a full price, $70 or whatever for it, and it's still stupid expensive if you go back and look at it. So I think the remake's getting out of hand, yes, somewhat, but I think if you do it the right way, like I said with the old school games, it's a lot better than doing one from a generation or so ago. What is a trope you wish would go away? Oh jeez, I don't know. I think one of the big ones I'd be is, it seems like there's being some games released nowadays that are hard just to be hard, and in fact are dubbed, you know, Soulsborne games or whatever, just because people want really super hard games. Now, don't get me wrong, I loved Elden Ring, I loved games like that, but I think they turned off a lot of people because of how difficult they can be. And me personally, in the past, I've had to use stuff like finding grind spots to level up faster so I could get through those games. And I think that if they would make an option for, even if they called it like baby mode or something, where it was like way easier so people can enjoy the games, I think in the long run it'd be even better, even though it might piss some fans off because that's what they think it has to be hard. But I think one of the tropes that I wish would go away is making a game super difficult just because you want to get in that niche setting. Do you think modern or indie is going to be the driving force for a while? Well, I think it just really depends on the console. I think Nintendo Switch and stuff is very popular right now for indie games, and with their, let's say, lack of performance for graphic wise and gameplay wise, indies are perfect on it, especially with the handheld mode too. But like, I mean, if you try to play games like Mortal Kombat on a Switch, it's horrible. I don't know if you guys have, or if Nick's seen what Mortal Kombat looks like on a Switch. It is absolutely horrendous. It almost looks like PS2 graphics or something. It's bad. But I think indies really strive on that, plus with the easy access from the eShop and how Nintendo, at least for digital pricing with that, is very good pricing. So I think that's really going to do that. But I think moderns just continue to run force. I do see, it seems like AAA titles are in somewhat of a decline, whether it be like Assassin's Creeds or even some of these games that are coming out nowadays that are AAA titles that are just bombing. And I think that that's just in China that people are getting tired of games like that, and I do think that this indie kind of wave is good in a sense because a lot of these seem retro inspired, which look very good to me. But I do think that modern is still going to keep going on. People love graphics, they love updated looking sleek designs and stuff like that, and I do, you know, there's a lot of modern games that are coming out that I'm excited for. I think Indiana Jones was just released on Game Pass that I would love to check out. And there's just some other ones around the corner that I would love to watch or play. If you had to make a choice between going retro or modern, which would you choose? Oh boy. So I recently just did a video about this on my secondary channel, Iowa Gamer Dad Side Quest. And I just talked about how at one point I want to say retro, But in all actuality, what my game history has been lately is playing all modern stuff. I did recently pick up a Retron 5 to kind of hook up with my Elgato and to hook up to my PC here, so that way I can get more access to playing retro games easier, because let's face it, a big pain in the butt part of doing retro itself is hooking everything up. So with the Retron 5, you got Game Boy, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Genesis, and stuff like that. Just easy access right here, all in one thing. But like I said, I would love to choose retro, especially with a YouTube name like Iowa Retro Gamer Dad. But it just seems nowadays that I have a lot more fun playing the modern games. And a lot of times it's because they're so much quicker to play compared to some of the older games. Like, I love RPGs, I love action games, and it seems like the average hour length for video games nowadays is 15 to 20 hours, which is perfect for me. With being a busy father of 3 boys, having 2 to 3 jobs, and just all this stuff on the side, it's hard for me to sit down sometimes and just game for a couple hours. So I love that the modern games look beautiful, they run great, and then I kind of just talked about how AAA titles seem to be going downhill lately, but I enjoy these games themselves. So a big shout out to Nick T. Wolf for not only being a channel member here on Iowa Retro Gamer Dad, but also being a great friend to the channel. And yeah, just taking the time to tag me in something like this is very interesting. Like I said, I tried to do these comments without really having too much in the back of my mind to get kind of a first-hand talk about. So thanks again, Nick T. Wolf, for doing this. Make sure you guys go check out his channel. And yeah, I would tag some people, but I'm not sure who I'd tag off the top of my head, so I'll just leave this open for the commenters below. People that support this channel, if you'd like to comment below some answers to these questions, make sure you do that below. And once again, make sure you guys go check out Nick T. Wolf, who will be in the description as well. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, stay retro, my friends, and I will see you in the next video. God bless, guys.
Super Retro Force.